Welcome to Murder at Midnight. In this episode, we're covering the H. Holmes case. May 16, 1861, Gilmanton, New Hampshire. H. Holmes is born as Herman Webster Mudgett in a small town nestled among rolling hills and dense forests. The morning sun streams through the windows of a modest home, illuminating the room where his mother cradles him close. The warm, inviting aroma of freshly baked bread fills the air, a staple in the household of devout Methodists who nurture both spiritual and intellectual growth. Even as a newborn, the whispers of aspiration seem to swirl around him, hinting at the man he is destined to become. From a young age, Herman displays remarkable intelligence, capturing the attention of those around him. His parents, deeply rooted in their faith, harbor high hopes for their only son, dreams of a future perhaps in medicine or law. Outside, the laughter of children playing rarely penetrates the quiet determination that envelops their home. This small town, with its tightly knit community, fosters young minds, yet it casts shadows that will loom large over Herman as he matures. The gentle rustle of leaves outside contrasts sharply with the ambition simmering within the walls of his family's abode. As he approaches school age, Herman proves to be an exceptional student, often outpacing his peers. Teachers marvel at his quick wit and keen curiosity, praising his ability to absorb information effortlessly. In Gilmanton's one-room schoolhouse, the wooden desks creak under the weight of eager young minds. Lessons unfold on chalkboards, while the scent of old books mingles with the fresh ink of newly written papers. Yet beneath this seemingly idyllic existence, a darker side begins to manifest. Herman develops a taste for manipulation, engaging in small cons with classmates, trading lunch items or spinning tales that blur the lines between fact and fiction. A flicker of the conman he will later become, revealing the first hints of his complex character. By the age of 10, Herman exhibits a keen understanding of human nature. He can charm adults and intrigue his peers, a skill that will serve him well in the years to come. Townsfolk commend him as a bright young man, yet there is an unsettling edge to his personality, a hunger for control simmering just beneath the surface. In friendly games, he often bends the rules to his advantage, a small harbinger of the deceitful path he will tread later in life. The tension between innocence and cunning begins to crystallize, setting the stage for the man he will eventually become. As Herman matures, the expectations of his family weigh heavily upon him. His father, a stern figure with a strong work ethic, instills the values of hard work and discipline, yet Herman yearns for greater aspirations than the humble life his parents envision. In the evenings, fading light seeps through the windows, casting long shadows across the floor as the boy gazes into the distance, allowing his mind to wander. He dreams of a life filled with opulence, one where he is no longer confined by the constraints of his upbringing. During his teenage years, Herman's ambitions evolve into more elaborate schemes. He begins to explore the world of fraud and deception, a dangerous game that fuels his growing desire for power. The thrill of outsmarting others ignites a spark within him, intensifying with each success. The whispers of his childhood fade, replaced by a cacophony of dreams, dreams of escape, of transcending the identity of a boy in a small town. The hints of aspiration transform into a roar, signaling the birth of a conman as he learns to see the world not just as it is, but as it could be, manipulated to his advantage. By the time he leaves Gilmanton, Herman has honed his ability to manipulate those around him. The small town, once comforting, now feels stifling, a cage from which he longs to break free. He sets his sights on medical school, convinced that a degree will elevate him beyond his humble beginnings. The mere thought of donning a white coat, of earning the respect he craves, fills him with exhilaration. As he prepares to depart, he can almost taste the freedom that awaits him. That bittersweet sensation, reminiscent of the first bite of a ripe apple, promises a life of charm and deceit, echoing in the recesses of his mind. Little does he realize that this journey will lead him far from the simple life of Gilmanton. The path he chooses is fraught with shadows, and the decisions he makes will resonate through the lives of countless others. With each step, Herman transforms into H.H. Holmes, a name that will evoke fear and intrigue. But those developments lie just ahead, waiting to intertwine with the story of a man determined to carve his name into the annals of infamy. As the sun sets on Gilmanton, shadows lengthen, hinting at the dark journey that lies ahead. The innocent boy who once played beneath the trees is gone, replaced by a burgeoning figure intent on rewriting his fate. What will that fate hold? The next chapter awaits, filled with both promise and peril. The echoes of his childhood may fade, but the lessons learned, both good and bad, will shape the man he becomes. A complex figure driven by ambition and a thirst for power, ready to step into the unknown. June 1st, 1878, Burlington, Vermont. The summer sun casts long shadows across the freshly mowed grass of Burlington High School. Young H.H. Holmes stands there, diploma in hand, a triumphant grin stretching across his face. At just 18, he has successfully graduated, marking the end of a chapter filled with academic challenges and a growing web of deceit among his peers. With the promise of medical school ahead, he prepares to embark on a journey that will shape his future in ways he can hardly foresee. Yet, beneath that charming exterior lurks a cunning nature skilled in manipulation. Moments after graduation, Holmes steps into the University of Vermont, a place where he can reinvent himself. The towering libraries, filled with medical texts, and airy classrooms, rich with the scent of chalk and ink, evoke a palpable thrill. This is a fresh start, a canvas awaiting his brush. However, the very skills that will aid him in medicine, observation, persuasion, and manipulation, begin to emerge as he interacts with fellow students. He blends in, yet remains distinctly apart, a silent observer in this new environment. Holmes quickly proves adept at reading people. He engages in sly conversations, crafting narratives that enhance his image while undermining others. Classmates marvel at his confidence, unaware that this charm is merely a facade for deeper ambitions. Laughter reverberates through the hallways, but beneath the camaraderie lies a darker undercurrent. His penchant for deceit becomes increasingly evident as he orchestrates small schemes, borrowing books, fabricating anecdotes, each designed to elevate his status among his peers. As evening descends, the campus transforms, illuminated by the warm glow of gas lamps flickering against the encroaching twilight. Holmes often roams the grounds, contemplating the possibilities that lie ahead. He devises intricate plans, some harmless, others veering into dubious territories. A rush of excitement courses through him as he outsmarts those around him. Friends murmur about missing belongings, a wallet here, a watch there. Though unverified, these whispers create an atmosphere of suspicion that Holmes skillfully navigates. He remains untouchable, a master of his own crafted persona. Months pass, and while the young student immerses himself in his studies, the allure of deception continues to captivate him. In lectures, he absorbs knowledge with the same fervor he displays when spinning tales. He excels in anatomy, his mind eager for the complexities of the human body, but it is the psychology of his peers that truly fascinates him. How easily they trust him, a fact he leverages to his advantage, albeit in small, seemingly innocuous ways. The lecture halls buzz with ambition and rivalry, yet Holmes thrives in this charged atmosphere, using it to fuel his ascent. He studies his classmates, keenly aware of their vulnerabilities while cultivating friendships that serve his interests. A well-timed compliment here, a sympathetic ear there, each interaction is meticulously calculated. They regard him as a friend, unwittingly feeding his growing sense of control over their perceptions. Even as he builds relationships, Holmes constructs a facade that will become his trademark. A sense of arrogance seeps into his demeanor, reinforcing his belief that he exists above the rules governing ordinary lives. When a classmate openly questions his integrity, Holmes responds with practiced charm, deftly deflecting the accusation and leaving his peers uncertain. The laughter fades, but this only intrigues him. He realizes that manipulation extends beyond mere deceit. It is about controlling narratives, bending truths to serve his desires. In the stillness of night, as he lies awake in his dormitory, the burden of his ambitions looms large. Stars twinkle coldly outside his window, distant and indifferent, much like the connections he forges. He yearns for more than mere recognition. He craves power, the kind that comes from being both admired and feared. The university walls become a playground for his schemes, each day presenting a new opportunity to test the limits of his cunning. And so he plots. As the semester rolls on, marked by intense study sessions and social gatherings, Holmes effortlessly charms those around him. Yet, as he navigates academia's complexities, a sense of unease begins to settle among his peers. Rumors swirl, some suspect him of duplicity, while others whisper about his uncanny ability to vanish just as crises unfold. Tension builds and students exchange wary glances, unsure of whom to trust. Holmes, however, remains unfazed, relishing the chaos he has subtly sown. By the time winter blankets Burlington, the atmosphere shifts. Snow muffles sounds, creating a serene facade over the brewing storm of suspicion. Students huddle together, sharing their apprehensions about Holmes in hushed tones, yet his charm keeps them from confronting him directly. He walks among them, hands tucked into his coat pockets, a confident smile gracing his lips, fully aware of the uncertainty he has instigated. A chill runs through the air as he decides to escalate his games. One evening during a study group, he feigns an injury, eliciting concern from his classmates. They rally around him, eager to help, oblivious to the fact that this is yet another ploy. He basks in their attention, savoring the duality of being both the victim and the manipulator. It's a dangerous dance, but one he performs with growing expertise. As the season progresses, the university walls seem to close in. Holmes navigates the shifting loyalties of his classmates effortlessly, yet as more students begin to question his motives, the thrill of deception transforms into a tighter web of intrigue. He delights in the challenge, each maneuver a testament to his burgeoning prowess. He is not just a student, he is a master of disguise, the architect of his own legend. In this crucible of ambition and deceit, H. Holmes is not merely preparing for a career in medicine. He is forging a path toward an insidious legacy that will echo through history. He is a chameleon, blending into society while quietly stitching together the threads of his future misdeeds. The world around him pulses with possibility, and he is ready to seize it. As the semester draws to a close, the campus buzzes with tension and anticipation for what lies ahead. But for Holmes, the stakes are far higher than grades or accolades. Each interaction, each calculated move is a step closer to a darker destiny. What will he do next? September 1st, 1878, Vermont. The air carries a crispness, infused with the earthy scent of autumn leaves. In Burlington, Dr. Herman Webster Mudgett stands before Clara Lovering, exchanging vows shortly after embarking on his medical studies. The moment is charged with youthful hope and anticipation, yet beneath that exuberance lurk shadows of doubt and tension. Mudgett, sharply dressed and exuding confidence, takes Clara's hand, a gesture that feels both significant and fleeting. Clara, a striking young woman with a vibrant spirit, dreams of love and family, believing this marriage will blossom into a life of joy and stability. However, their union is fated to be anything but tranquil. As the officiant's voice fades into the background, they become lost in their shared aspirations, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. But as wedding bells chime, the reality of their relationship begins to unfold. Within the first year, Clara gives birth to their son, Robert, a milestone that shifts their dynamic dramatically. Clara's initial excitement clashes with Mudgett's relentless ambition and the pressures of his demanding studies. While he delves deeper into the world of medicine, Clara finds herself increasingly isolated, struggling with the challenges of motherhood. The joy of new life is soon overshadowed by the widening gap between them. In those early days, the house resonates with the sounds of a newborn's cries, the rustle of pages as Mudgett immerses himself in textbooks, and Clara's soft sighs of fatigue. The warmth of their home starkly contrasts the growing distance in their relationship. Clara strives to nurture their marriage, believing that patience can mend the rift, but Mudgett's fixation on his ambitions evolves into an obsession that leaves little room for love or companionship. As months turn into years, the initial excitement of their marriage fades, replaced by misunderstandings and conflicts. Mudgett's charm, which once captivated Clara, begins to feel like a facade. Late nights away from home, whispers of ambition morphing into secrets, these become the backdrop of their lives. Clara starts to realize that the man she married is not merely a husband but a complex enigma, ensnared in his own web of desires and aspirations. A poignant moment arrives late one evening when Clara stands alone in their dimly lit kitchen. The smell of burnt bread lingers, a reminder of her struggles to hold their home together. Robert sleeps soundly in his crib, but the silence feels oppressive. Clara gazes out the small window, watching the moon cast shadows across the yard, an echo of her longing for clarity. She wonders if the love they once shared can be salvaged, or if it is too late. By 1884, the marriage becomes untenable. Clara, exhausted and drained, confronts a painful truth. They are two people living parallel lives, strangers within the same walls. Their separation signifies not just a physical distance, but an emotional chasm that has grown too wide to bridge. Mudgett, absorbed in his own ambitions, remains largely oblivious to the toll his pursuits take on Clara. Her struggles fade into mere footnotes in his relentless narrative. Day arrives when Clara, with a heavy heart, resolves to leave. She stands in the doorway, clutching Robert's small hand, feeling the load of her decision pressing down on her chest. Sunlight filters through the trees, illuminating a path forward while casting long shadows behind her. Taking a deep breath, she steps into the fresh air, a stark contrast to the suffocating atmosphere she has known. As she crosses the threshold, she feels a mix of liberation and fear, uncertain of what the future holds. Upon learning of the separation, Mudgett responds with a blend of indifference and anger. Accustomed to having his wishes fulfilled, Clara's departure unsettles him in unexpected ways. Left to navigate his ambitions alone, the remnants of their marriage linger like ghosts in his daily life. The reality of single fatherhood weighs heavily on him, yet he maintains the facade of the confident physician, even as cracks begin to appear in his carefully constructed existence. In the aftermath of the separation, whispers swirl around them. Townsfolk speculate about the once promising couple and their unraveling dreams, the sound of hushed voices reverberating in local taverns. Stories morph into rumors, obscuring the truth with conjecture. Clara, now a single mother, faces societal judgment while Mudgett, cloaked in charisma, strives to uphold his reputation in the community. As days turn into weeks, Clara's resolve solidifies. She focuses on raising Robert, finding solace in the simple joys of motherhood. Meanwhile, Mudgett becomes a man defined by ambition, driven to achieve greatness without the constraints of family life. His dark aspirations simmer just beneath the surface, intertwining with his identity. The man who once vowed his love now stands at a crossroads, where morality and ambition clash, marking a turning point that will irrevocably alter their lives. With Clara resolutely stepping into a new chapter, and Mudgett entangled in his ambitions, the stage is set for what lies ahead. How will these decisions echo through time, shaping destinies in unforeseen ways? The tapestry of their lives unfolds, each thread interconnected, leading toward a future fraught with peril and darkness. January 1st, 1886, Chicago, Illinois. H. Holmes arrives in the bustling city, stepping off the train into a world brimming with opportunity. The air echoes with the clanging of metal and the distant echo of horses' hooves against the cobblestones. This vibrant metropolis pulses with ambition, providing the perfect backdrop for a man intent on reinventing himself. Fresh from a troubled past in New York, where petty crimes and deception were his companions, Holmes sheds his former identities like a snake discarding its skin, ready to forge a new persona that will soon gain infamy. Almost immediately, Holmes secures a position at a local pharmacy, drawing on his previous experience and education in the field. The shop, though small, is well stocked, filled with the scent of medicinal herbs mingling with the sweet aroma of candies and tinctures. Customers bustle in and out, their chatter creating a lively hum that fills the space. Here, he adopts the name H. Holmes, a label that will soon be associated with a series of unspeakable acts. The name rolls off his tongue, a taste of the dark future he is meticulously planning. As he settles into his role, Holmes employs a disarming smile to charm his customers, concealing his true intentions beneath a veneer of friendliness. Each interaction with the townsfolk becomes a deft performance, enhancing his reputation as the young pharmacist eager to help. He offers advice on ailments and remedies with a confidence that belies his years. The flickering gas lights cast shadows across his face, accentuating the allure of his presence. Yet beneath that genial exterior, a more sinister ambition brews, one that will soon manifest in chilling ways. The vibrant life of Chicago captivates him, with its bustling streets and disjointed alleys. This city is a melting pot of dreams, immigrants seeking fortune, entrepreneurs chasing success, and the desperate hoping for a new beginning. Holmes bears witness to their stories, but he perceives something different. He sees opportunity in their vulnerability. Each passerby is a potential mark, and he savors the thrill of the chase. The clamor of the city swells, a symphony of lives intersecting, each note resonating with possibility. Yet, for Holmes, this music serves as a prelude to a dark opera where he is both conductor and lead. Weeks pass, and after a month at the pharmacy, it becomes a mere facade for Holmes' burgeoning enterprises. He begins to mingle with Chicago's elite, moving in circles that grant him access to wealth and influence. His captivating demeanor and hidden malice allow him to forge crucial connections. The city transforms into his chessboard, where he moves with calculated precision, each interaction a strategic play. The faint scent of tobacco lingers in the air as he engages in conversations with wealthy patrons, their laughter ringing hollow against the backdrop of his ulterior motives. Here, he thrives in a landscape where deceit is cloaked in civility. Despite the facade, whispers circulate about the young man with a silver tongue and enigmatic smile. Some find him charming, while others feel an inexplicable chill in his presence. This duality creates an electric tension, a magnetic pull that fascinates and repels. A light breeze carries the sweet aroma of freshly baked bread from a nearby bakery, mingling with the city's relentless energy. People pass by, blissfully unaware of the shadows looming in the distance. Holmes' ambitions grow bolder, and he begins to plot more audacious schemes. He envisions a hotel, a grand establishment that will not only symbolize his success but also serve as a trap for unsuspecting victims. The dream of this hotel takes shape in his mind, a space where he can control life and death with the turn of a key. He sketches plans on scraps of paper, his handwriting precise and purposeful. The thrill of creation fuels him. The foundation of his empire is being laid one calculated brick at a time. As he walks the streets of Chicago, he absorbs the city's heartbeat, feeling every pulse, every breath of the people around him. The sun sets, casting long shadows that stretch like fingers across the pavement. The sounds of the city shift, laughter fading as night descends. In this darkness, Holmes experiences a sense of empowerment, a burgeoning hunger for control over life itself. The soft rustle of leaves signals the night's arrival, whispering secrets that only he can hear. In the shadows of the alleys, the underbelly of Chicago thrives, mirroring his own dark aspirations. He begins to seek out those on the fringes, the destitute, the vulnerable, individuals whose lives seem disposable. They become his shadows, their stories intertwining with his own, and he senses the power that grows from their desperation. The chilling reality is that for every life he touches, the potential for exploitation increases. The city breathes with life, pulsing with energy and filled with untold stories, and Holmes is determined to etch his own into its history. The lights of Chicago twinkle like stars in the urban night, each representing a life, a potential victim. With each passing day, he inches closer to the dark legacy he wishes to leave behind, a footprint embedded in the crowded streets of this vibrant metropolis. As the scene shifts to the possibilities that lie ahead, the whispers of the city grow louder, hinting at the chaos yet to unfold. Will H. Holmes' ambitions propel him to the heights he envisions, or will they unravel in the very shadows he seeks to manipulate? The stage is set for the next act in this dark tapestry, as the city, unaware, continues to turn. January 1st, 1887, Chicago, Illinois. H. Holmes steps onto a plot of land that will soon transform into a chilling symbol of human depravity, a hotel like no other. This is more than just a building. It marks the beginning of a terrifying legacy that will haunt the annals of true crime. A vision of grandeur mingles with malice as he imagines the secrets that will soon be concealed within its walls. The land, acquired with deceptive ease, sits nestled in the bustling heart of Chicago, a city alive with the rhythm of industry and commerce. Streets teem with life, filled with the sounds of vendors calling out to passers-by and the clatter of horse-drawn carriages. The aroma of fresh bread wafts from nearby bakeries, intertwining with the acrid smoke rising from coal fires, creating a vivid tapestry of urban existence. Yet, amid the city's vibrancy, Holmes's intentions are as dark as the shadows that will soon envelop this place. He envisions a maze, a labyrinthine structure designed not merely for comfort but for cunning, a trap for the unsuspecting, where every corner holds the potential for danger. As construction begins, overseen by Holmes himself, he showcases a chilling knack for manipulation. The hotel, which he will later dub the Murder Castle, is destined to be a masterclass in deceit. Conceived with secret rooms, hidden passageways, and traps that will ensnare any unfortunate guest, it is a monument to his insatiable ambition. Plans are drawn and the framework takes shape, yet the design remains flexible, allowing for the dark twists that will soon define it. Floors vanish into darkness, staircases twist unnaturally, and doors lead to nowhere. This architectural masterpiece serves as a physical manifestation of the mind that conceived it, a testament to Holmes's dark genius. Holmes's vision incorporates the latest innovations of the time, featuring gas lighting and a modern heating system. However, these elements, meant to lure patrons into a false sense of security, serve a far more sinister purpose. Every corner of the castle pulses with his malevolence, a hidden danger lurking beneath the facade of hospitality. Guests, blissfully unaware of the horrors that await, will soon step into a realm where their fates are sealed before they even cross the threshold. The very design of the hotel reflects Holmes's twisted psyche, where charm and horror coexist in unsettling harmony. Construction workers, many oblivious to the dark future of the hotel, toil under Holmes's watchful gaze. Their laughter mingles with the sound of hammering and the scent of fresh lumber. Yet an unspoken tension hangs in the air, an energy that resonates, as if the very ground beneath them knows the evil that will unfold. Conversations among the workers swirl with whispers of Holmes's peculiar requests, rooms designed without doors, chutes leading to dark basements. What could he possibly want with such odd designs? As the initial stages of construction progress, the structure begins to stand as a beacon of intrigue, its existence a tangled web of charm and menace. Anticipation in the city grows as rumors swirl about its impending opening. Patrons, drawn by promises of luxury and comfort, remain unaware of the truth. The excitement in the air is tangible, starkly contrasting the grim reality hidden behind the castle's walls. With each passing day, the castle takes its first steps toward completion, casting long shadows over the streets below. The sounds of construction fade into an eerie silence as foundational work is laid. Holmes paces the site, envisioning each room filled with unsuspecting guests. His mind races with possibilities. Who will be the first to enter this sinister sanctuary? Will they be fortunate, or will they fall victim to the horrors lurking within? As the initial details are meticulously set into place, the murder castle becomes a reflection of its creator, a facade of grandeur cloaking a core of malevolence. The exterior gleams under the Chicago sun, but within, the castle breathes an air of hidden danger, patiently awaiting its first victims. The doors, crafted with care to deceive, are poised to swing open, inviting the curious and vulnerable inside. What horrors lie just beyond this threshold? As the sun sets, a sense of unease lingers in the twilight air. Visitors will soon flock to this architectural wonder, unaware that the path to luxury leads them straight into the jaws of terror. Each room is a calculated risk, each hallway a deceptive promise, meticulously designed to ensnare. The hotel's allure is intoxicating, drawing people in while hidden dangers lie just beneath the surface. In this moment, as shadows lengthen and the castle stands proudly against the skyline, the future remains unwritten. Yet one truth becomes evident: the murder castle will be etched in history, not merely as a hotel, but as a monument to the darkness that resides in the heart of man. What lies ahead in the depths of its chambers? The answer will unfold with chilling inevitability as the story continues. As the last rays of light disappear, the castle transforms into a dark silhouette against the night sky, its windows like vacant eyes watching the world. The first guests will soon arrive, blissfully unaware of the fate that awaits them. The once bustling streets of Chicago now hold their breath, waiting for the inevitable to unfold. What secrets will the walls of the murder castle reveal? Each creak of the floorboards, each whisper of the wind through the halls hints at the horrors yet to come. The stage is set for a tale of unimaginable terror, and the curtain is about to rise. July 1st, 1888, Chicago, Illinois. Julia Smythe, a mistress of H. Holmes, goes missing. The sun hangs high, casting sharp shadows across the bustling streets. Life continues around the murder castle, a foreboding structure that looms ominously over the neighborhood, its secrets concealed behind a facade of elegance. The air is filled with the sounds of vendors hawking their goods and the rhythmic clatter of horse-drawn carriages, but beneath this vibrant exterior lies an unsettling tension, an awareness that something sinister brews within those walls. Julia, known for her charm and beauty, has been a captivating presence in Holmes' life, embodying a mix of allure and mystery. Friends fondly recall her laughter and the soft rustle of her skirts as she navigates the lively streets of Chicago. She often visits the murder castle, drawn in by its opulence and the enigmatic nature of its owner. In those moments, she feels both enchanted and ensnared, gliding through halls that would soon become her prison. But today, that joyful laughter fades into an unsettling silence. She was last seen heading toward the hotel, blissfully unaware of the dangers that awaited her. As locals gather in clusters, they speculate: did she leave for a new life, or has something darker claimed her? Days pass and whispers about Julia's fate ripple through the community, echoing like a haunting refrain. Holmes, ever the master manipulator, maintains a calm facade, crafting a narrative of innocence that obscures the unraveling of a life. The clinking of glasses in the hotel's bar and the laughter of patrons enjoying their evenings mask the grim reality within the ornate walls of the completed murder castle. Here, the last remnants of Julia's presence linger, trapped in an eerie stillness that belies the chaos unfolding outside. The castle, designed with meticulous attention to detail, reflects Holmes' twisted psyche. Plush carpets and sparkling chandeliers conceal the horrors beneath. Rumors surrounding the hotel swirl like smoke from flickering gas lamps, casting shadows that deepen with each passing day. Dark corners and narrow hallways speak volumes, burdened with hidden truths. Yet Holmes moves through this space with calculated ease, weaving a web of deceit as reports of missing women begin to accumulate. As the investigation into Julia's disappearance unfolds, it reveals the complex layers of her relationship with Holmes. Friends recount her vibrant spirit and ambition, but a chilling realization emerges: Holmes had been grooming her, drawing her deeper into his web. The very traits that made her endearing, her independence and aspirations, render her a target. In a city teeming with opportunity, Julia becomes a pawn in Holmes' dangerous game. The sounds of the bustling city contrast starkly with the chilling reality of the murder castle, where guests unknowingly tread under the shadow of death. The flickering gas lamps cast an almost hypnotic glow, illuminating laughter and conversation while hiding the horrors just beyond the walls. The sweet aroma of pastries wafts in from nearby cafes, a jarring reminder of normalcy amidst a life gone horribly awry. Meanwhile, Holmes meticulously plots his next moves, envisioning a future dominated by power and control. Days stretch into weeks, and the mystery surrounding Julia deepens. Initially dismissive of her disappearance as a mere case of a woman running away, the police begin to take notice as more women vanish from Chicago's streets. Yet Holmes continues to blend seamlessly into society, his charm masking the darkness within. The vibrant metropolis pulses with life, while shadows deepen around the murder castle, enveloping its owner in a shroud of deceit. Tension rises in the community as friends and family of the missing women unite in search of answers. Posters bearing Julia's image plaster street corners, her smile frozen in time, a disturbing reminder of the woman who vanished without a trace. The air buzzes with speculation and fear. Echoes of Julia's laughter fade into the background. Chicago, once a sanctuary, transforms into a labyrinth of uncertainty, with the castle standing as a chilling testament to the darkness that can thrive amidst the light. Holmes' ambition morphs into obsession, revealing the depths of his depravity. He dazzles those around him with charisma, yet sinister undercurrents run deep. Manipulating the narrative, he diverts attention away from himself, constructing the image of a successful hotelier while concealing the grim truth lurking beneath. As guests arrive at the murder castle, they unwittingly stroll into a den of horrors, their fates determined by the very man who charms them. The investigation intensifies, but leads slip through the fingers of detectives like grains of sand. Each thread pulled seems to lead to dead ends, while the city remains blissfully unaware of the monster in their midst. The chatter of the streets grows louder, the tension more keenly felt, as tales of those who once walked Chicago's streets vanish into the night, leaving behind a chilling silence. Julia's disappearance marks a turning point in Holmes' life, a descent into darkness from which he will not return. With each passing day, he becomes bolder, more reckless in his endeavors. The murder castle stands as a monument to his ambition, a haven for the twisted desires that fuel his sinister plans. Julia Smythe, the vibrant soul who once danced through the shadows, becomes a troubling memory, resonating within the walls of a malevolent architect's ambitions. As deception weaves tighter, the city stirs with unease. The calm that once cloaked Chicago begins to crack, revealing the true horrors beneath. Stories of missing women ripple through the streets, a growing tide that threatens to engulf Holmes and expose the darkness of his empire. What will the investigation uncover next? What secrets does the murder castle still hold? August 1st, 1888, Chicago, Illinois. The child of Julia Smythe is found dead. The summer sun casts long shadows across the vibrant streets of the city, illuminating the chaos of urban life. Yet within the walls of a modest apartment, a grim discovery shatters the facade of normalcy. In a dimly lit bedroom, the lifeless body of a young child just 3 years old lies among scattered toys and remnants of innocence. Julia, a struggling single mother who had recently crossed paths with Holmes, is engulfed by disbelief. Her anguished cries echo through the tenement hallways, drawing neighbors who gather, torn between curiosity and horror. News spreads swiftly in a city like Chicago, where every whispered secret carries the weight of suspicion. Within hours, authorities arrive, their presence a stark reminder of the grim reality enveloping Julia. As officers examine the scene, the child's still form serves as a backdrop to a growing cloud of unanswered questions. How could this tragedy occur? What chain of events led to such a devastating end? As the inquiry begins, one name rises above the rest: Holmes. Holmes, already a fixture in the city's elite circles, has crafted an image of allure and deception, hiding sinister intentions behind a polished exterior. He has formed connections with influential figures, presenting himself as a man of charm and wealth. For weeks, as he mingles with the upper crust, unsettling rumors about his associations with vulnerable women begin to circulate. The child's death ignites speculation that Holmes's dark ambitions may reach further than anyone imagined. Julia, in her sorrow, turns her gaze toward the man who had entered her life with unsettling charisma only months prior. Outside, the city pulses with life. Vendors shout, horse-drawn carriages clatter over cobblestones, and the hum of activity continues, seemingly indifferent to the tragedy unfolding within. Meanwhile, detectives scour Julia's belongings, searching for clues that might link Holmes to the child's untimely demise. As they question her, tension fills the air. Julia recalls the enigmatic man, his smooth words, and the unsettling way he seemed to know her vulnerabilities. Was he lurking in the shadows, or is this merely the frantic imagination of a grieving mother? As the investigation unfolds, details about the child's brief life emerge, amplifying the sorrow of Julia's loss. Authorities examine the tiny body, exchanging hushed words like poison and unexplained. The community watches, suspicion hanging over them like a dark cloud. Amid this turmoil, Holmes continues his daily life, seemingly untouched by the chaos he leaves behind. He strolls through the elegant streets of Chicago, his mind racing with plans for his burgeoning empire, a hotel designed to ensnare the unsuspecting, a stage for the culmination of his twisted ambitions. But the inquiry intensifies. Police dig deeper, interviewing witnesses and piecing together a timeline. They uncover Julia's recent interactions with the charming man, whose reputation begins to unravel like a frayed thread. His wealth and polished demeanor offer little protection from the mounting scrutiny. Detective Sergeant Patrick McCarthy senses something dark lurking just beneath the surface, a chasm of deceit that stretches far deeper than anyone realizes. In the dim light of the police station, officers sift through information, connecting the dots that seem to lead back to Holmes. The investigation reveals a network of troubled pasts and shattered dreams, each thread tightening, drawing attention to the man who has deceptively woven himself into the lives of the vulnerable. What did he want with Julia and her child? Did he see them as mere pawns in a deadly game? The thought lingers, casting a shadow over the ongoing inquiry as the urban landscape buzzes with the news. With each passing day, Julia's plight strikes a chord out the community. Grief transforms into outrage, and soon the neighborhood rallies around her demanding justice. The streets that once thrummed with life morph into corridors of whispers, where children play in the shadows, casting wary glances at strangers. Julia, now a figure of resilience, becomes an unwitting symbol for the forgotten and the vulnerable, igniting calls for accountability. Yet as the investigation circles around Holmes, he remains elusive, cloaked in a veil of confidence that conceals his true intentions. A smirk often dances on his lips, a reaction to the chaos he knows he can manipulate. He engages in sly conversations, diverting attention and casting doubt on any claims against him. As detectives close in, he retreats deeper into the labyrinth of his own making, relying on charm and manipulation to stay ahead. The tragic death of Julia's child becomes a pivotal moment, marking the onset of an unrelenting pursuit for truth, a truth that may unveil the darkness lurking beneath Chicago's glimmering facade. The inquiry into the child's death opens a Pandora's box, revealing a sinister world where vulnerability becomes prey for those skilled in the art of deceit. Who will emerge from the shadows, and what secrets will be uncovered as they delve into the heart of this mystery? As the community grapples with grief and anger, the shadow of H. Holmes looms larger, intertwining their fates. The bustling metropolis stands on the brink of revelation, with the truth waiting to unfold, hidden beneath layers of charm and manipulation. As the sun sets over the urban landscape, questions linger in the air, resonating in the hearts of its inhabitants. When will the facade crumble, and who will be left standing in the aftermath? The scene shifts now as the inquiry deepens. January 1st, 1889, Chicago, Illinois. Emmeline Sagrand, another victim, vanishes. A spirited young woman, Emmeline is known for her vibrant laughter and ambitious dreams. On a chilly day in mid-January, she gathers with friends at a local cafe, where the air buzzes with lively conversation and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Her enthusiasm is infectious, drawing people in as she shares tales of adventure and aspirations. Emmeline dreams of exploring the world beyond the city's borders, her heart brimming with hope for a promising future. Just days later, the winter chill wraps the city in a cold embrace. Streets glisten with remnants of snow, while horse-drawn carriages clatter over cobblestones, creating a symphony of urban life. Emmeline walks toward the enigmatic Murder Castle, a hotel that promises comfort but conceals a sinister purpose. The grand facade, alluring yet deceptive, beckons her inside, unaware of the fate that awaits. Last seen entering the building, Emmeline's laughter soon fades into silence, adding her name to a growing list of mysterious disappearances troubling Chicago. Outside, the city thrums with life, while within the murder castle, the walls absorb whispers of dreams turned into nightmares. Gas lamps flicker, casting eerie shadows in corners where guests once felt safe. Yet within these shadows, sinister designs unfold, thickening the atmosphere with unspoken dread. Holmes, the architect of this grim establishment, continues to weave his web of deceit. His charm, initially a tool for attracting patrons, morphs into a weapon for manipulation. As Emmeline crosses the threshold, she unknowingly steps into a carefully orchestrated trap designed to ensnare those who dare to trust. This dynamic, a predator stalking prey, masked by benevolence, repeats with terrifying regularity in Holmes's world. Each encounter and disappearance establishes a chilling pattern of exploitation that reaches throughout the city. Rumors swirl among locals, whispers of women vanishing without a trace, leaving families in despair. Emmeline's absence ignites concern among friends and acquaintances, tugging at the hearts of those left behind. Yet the world outside remains oblivious to the horrors lurking within the hotel's walls. Laughter and music fill nearby taverns as patrons forget the unseen darkness just blocks away. Meanwhile, the castle's rooms, once filled with promise, now echo with the heavy footsteps of inevitability. By day, the murder castle stands as a testament to architectural prowess. By night, it transforms into a playground for the nefarious. Workers, unaware of the malevolence surrounding them, continue to labor, hammering and sawing as the building's secrets come together. It becomes a place where dreams intertwine with nightmares, where the lure of comfort obscures lurking peril. For Emmeline, the thrill of adventure leads her to a fate shrouded in mystery, her last moments a sharp reminder of the vulnerability that exists within the heart of ambition. As days pass and Emmeline remains unaccounted for, her loved ones grapple with fading hope. They scour the bustling streets of Chicago, calling her name into the wind, but it carries their pleas away. Each day without her brings a fresh wave of anguish-tangible pressure of absence that hangs heavy in the air. The vibrancy of the city stands in sharp contrast with the void left by her disappearance, serving as a reminder of life's fragility. The clamor of life continues, but for some, time stands still, a bitter pause marked by uncertainty and fear. The community begins to unite, sharing stories of Emmeline, piecing together fragments of her last known movements. Friends rally to search familiar haunts, where local shops brim with the aroma of fresh pastries and roasted coffee, yet their laughter carries a sense of loss. Each friendly face they encounter deepens the sorrow that hangs over the neighborhood as they seek answers. The ominous presence of the murder castle looms larger, becoming a symbol of the unknown horror that lurks beneath the surface. In the weeks that follow, whispers of Emmeline's fate ripple through the community, creating an undercurrent of panic. Distrust seeps into conversations as people question their safety in a city once thought filled with opportunity. The murder castle, which promised a refuge from the cold, instead becomes synonymous with danger. Gas lights flicker ominously, as if aware of the dark truth that lies within. Those familiar with the tales of vanished women cannot help but wonder what truly happens behind those walls. Days turn into weeks, and the search for Emmeline becomes a troubling reminder of the dangers that lurk in plain sight. Her story, like so many before her, remains unfinished, a void calling out for answers. The lively pulse of urban life marches on, but beneath the surface, a current of fear grows stronger. How many more lives will be silenced in the shadows of the murder castle? As the community longs for closure, the cacophony of urban life becomes a stark backdrop for the tragedy unfolding remnants. The echoes of Emmeline Sagran's laughter, once bright and full of life, fade into the corridors of memory. Her disappearance serves as a chilling testament to the darkness that exists alongside the mundane. The vibrant heartbeat of the city continues, yet the absence leaves a lingering mark, a reminder that not all stories end happily, and that the aspirations of some can lead to the devastating ache of missing for others. As shadows deepen and days grow colder, the question remains, will her story be forgotten, or will it ignite a fire for truth and justice? In the midst of uncertainty, the tale of Emmeline Sagran beckons for resolution. Each unanswered question fuels the search for truth, intertwining with the lives of those who refused torment. The echoes of her disappearance resonate far beyond the walls of the murder castle, reminding the community of the delicate balance between trust and treachery. As the city grapples with its collective grief, the horizon glimmers with the possibility of discovery. What other stories lie hidden within the depths of the murder castle's shadow? The answers may be closer than they seem. January 1st, 1890, Chicago, Illinois. The city pulses with the energy of a new year, its streets alive with the clamor of vendors calling out their wares and the rhythmic clattering of horse-drawn carriages. Behind this vibrant facade, Holmes embarks on a chilling venture, one that intertwines charm with deception. He seeks to exploit his skills in persuasion for a darker ambition, insurance fraud. Holmes crafts a sinister plan, leveraging the very systems designed to provide security and peace of mind. He takes out multiple life insurance policies on his victims, each one meticulously calculated to maximize his potential payouts. With every contract, he weaves a web of deception, ensnaring unsuspecting individuals in his plotted schemes. The allure of financial gain drives him forward, as he envisions the windfalls that will follow the untimely deaths he orchestrates. In the biting cold of a Chicago winter, he targets individuals who seem vulnerable, often those who have recently crossed his path through his pharmacy or his expanding social circle. This bustling metropolis, filled with crowded neighborhoods and a transient population, serves as fertile ground for his nefarious designs. At social gatherings, Holmes charms potential victims and their families, all while hiding the malicious intent simmering beneath his polished surface. The laughter and chatter stand in stark contrast to the treachery unfolding behind closed doors. As the weeks roll on, Holmes orchestrates his moves with meticulous precision. He cultivates a facade of friendship, offering small favors to those he targets, all while planting the seeds of trust. Each interaction builds towards a grim conclusion, where he stands to gain financially from their deaths. The insurance policies transform into instruments of his predatory nature, with every signed contract bringing him closer to his malevolent goal. Then, in a calculated twist, tragedy strikes. One of his victims, an unsuspecting individual who had fallen ill, dies under circumstances that appear ordinary to those around him. Shockwaves ripple through the community as friends and family mourn their loss. Yet for Holmes, this moment is a triumph. He swiftly files the claim, setting the gears of the insurance company into motion. The paperwork, mundane on the surface, carries the heavy pressure of his malevolence. This death marks the first of many claims he intends to file, each one drawing him deeper into his dark ambitions. As the city continues its lively rhythm, Holmes receives a substantial payout that brings him a twisted sense of joy. He revels in the success of his scheme, his mind racing ahead to the next target, the next policy ripe for exploitation. Cash flows in, but the unseen cost echoes with each transaction. The clinking of coins and the rustle of banknotes serve as a grim reminder of the lives irrevocably altered for his gain. Holmes remains a master manipulator, charming those around him while cloaking his actions in secrecy. His dual existence is neatly compartmentalized. To the public, he is a respectable businessman, but behind closed doors, he is a predator, calculating and ruthless. The allure of easy money draws him deeper into the abyss, where ethical boundaries blur and human lives become mere pawns on his chessboard of ambition. Each claim he files, each new victim he selects, reinforces his belief in his own invincibility. The streets of Chicago hum with life, oblivious to the dark tide surging beneath the surface. The vibrancy of the city contrasts sharply with the shadows looming over the lives he controls. The distant echo of sirens hints at the chaos lurking within the urban fabric. For Holmes, every deceitful maneuver feeds his insatiable hunger for power and wealth, leading him to contemplate his next move. His ambitions extend beyond the payouts he collects. They reflect a deeper yearning to exert control over life and death itself. As the scam unfolds, the stakes rise. Whispers of suspicion begin to circulate among the townsfolk, connecting the dots of his growing list of victims. Though no one dares to voice their concerns too loudly, Holmes remains acutely aware of the mounting tension. Adapting his strategies, he diversifies his targets, ensuring that no single thread can lead back to him. The atmosphere thickens, yet he navigates the streets with an air of confidence, each step a calculated risk. In the days that follow, as winter transitions to early spring, Holmes continues to manipulate the system. Each insurance contract reflects his dark genius, while the chilling reality of his actions begins to resonate within the community. The loss of life starts to weigh heavily on those who remain. Questions linger. How many more will fall prey to his insatiable desire for wealth? How long before the web he weaves becomes his own prison? This moment in Holmes's life marks a significant turning point, where the repercussions of his actions begin to ripple outward, touching countless lives. The once promising landscape of Chicago transforms into a backdrop for his unfolding saga of greed and treachery. As the sun sets on this chapter of deceit, the stage is set for inevitable unraveling. What hidden truths lie in wait? The story of H.H. Holmes is far from over, and the shadows he casts are about to deepen. November 17, 1894, Boston, Massachusetts. Holmes is arrested on suspicion of fraud. The late 19th century city buzzes with life, where horse-drawn carriages clatter over cobblestones and the aroma of roasted chestnuts fills the air. As dusk settles, casting elongated shadows against the brick facades, an urgent tension permeates the atmosphere. Police, piecing together a series of suspicious activities linked to Holmes, finally take decisive action. Holmes, moving through the city with an air of self-assurance, seems like just another man in a tailored suit, exuding charm and sophistication. Yet beneath that polished facade lies a web of deception far more complex than mere fraud. The officers approach him with a mix of determination and caution, fully aware that they are confronting a man notorious for his manipulative prowess. As handcuffs click into place, burden oft of the moment visible, the bustling streets seem to pause, holding their breath. A crowd gathers, their whispers a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. How could someone so seemingly respectable be at the center of such serious allegations? The realization dawns on onlookers. Holmes is not just a charming figure, he is a master of deceit. The initial charge is fraud, a claim that feels almost trivial compared to the darker truths lurking beneath the surface. The police know this is merely the beginning. Reports of missing persons, all connected to Holmes in some way, have been accumulating. As they delve deeper, they uncover a labyrinth of financial schemes, fraudulent transactions, and the unsettling possibility that Holmes has exploited his victims in ways far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. In the days that follow, the investigation gains momentum. Detectives sift through records, conduct interviews, and piece together fragments of Holmes's life, crafting a chilling portrait of a man who thrives on the vulnerabilities of others. Each new revelation adds layers to the narrative of his duplicity, exposing a history steeped in manipulation and betrayal. The more they learn, the clearer it becomes. Holmes's charm is merely a mask that conceals a heart steeped in darkness. As the investigation unfolds, detectives explore Holmes's life in Chicago, a city that once embraced him. Here, he constructed his infamous Murder Castle, a hotel designed with hidden rooms and traps intended to ensnare unsuspecting guests. The detectives begin to connect the dots between the missing persons reports and individuals who crossed paths with Holmes in the vibrant streets of Chicago. The chilling realization that he may have transformed his hotel into a hunting ground sends shivers through the police department. Meanwhile, Holmes maintains his composure, even as suspicion tightens around him. He plays the role of the innocent man, feigning ignorance while deftly redirecting conversations. His charm, once a tool of manipulation, now serves as a double-edged sword. Officers know they are dealing with someone who has mastered the art of deception, watching as he spins tales to convince them of his innocence, even as the evidence against him mounts. As days turn into weeks, the investigation unfolds like a grim narrative, revealing Holmes's connections to various victims. The police realize the web he has woven is vast and intricate, encompassing not just financial fraud but potentially far more horrific crimes. The community watches in a mix of horror and fascination as the story develops, captivated by the tale of a man leading a double life. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation. The media seizes the story, headlines blaring about the charming doctor now suspected of murder. Public interest surges, and the narrative of a man living a facade captures the imagination of many. Questions abound. How could someone so charismatic be capable of such heinous acts? As investigators continue their work, they uncover a chilling pattern in Holmes's life. He leaves chaos in his wake, whether through financial ruin or the mysterious disappearances of those who placed their trust in him. Detectives realize they are not merely piecing together a case of fraud, they are unraveling a narrative leading to something far more disturbing. Then, as the investigation reaches a fever pitch, a breakthrough occurs. One detective discovers a scrap of paper containing a list of names, individuals last seen in Holmes's company. This list becomes crucial evidence, linking him to the growing number of missing persons. The realization that these individuals may have met with foul play sends shockwaves through the investigation team, intensifying their resolve to bring Holmes to justice. As police prepare to confront Holmes with their findings, the air crackles with tension. They know this moment could change everything, a confrontation that might lead to a confession or a desperate attempt by Holmes to maintain his innocence. The stakes are high, and the outcome remains uncertain. In the heart of Boston, the city holds its breath, waiting for the next chapter in this unfolding saga. The arrest of H. Holmes marks a pivotal moment in a story that is far from over. As the investigation deepens, the shadows of his past loom larger, challenging the very nature of trust and the human capacity for evil. As authorities gear up for what lies ahead, the world watches closely, eager to unearth the truth hidden beneath layers of deception. The stage is set for revelations that could change everything, leaving listeners to contemplate the depths of human ambition and the darkness that can reside within even the most charismatic figures. April 1st, 1895, Chicago, Illinois. Authorities search the Murder Castle and find remains. An unsettling atmosphere envelops the ominous building as investigators sift through its shadowy corridors, the scent of damp wood and decay clinging to the air. Each step reveals a deeper layer of horror, whispers of suspicion echoing from the community's growing anxiety. Outside, the distant sound of horses' hooves clattering on cobblestones serves as a sharp reminder of ordinary life continuing. blissfully unaware of the malevolence hidden within the castle's walls. The search begins with law enforcement on high alert, their faces etched with concern and determination. From the outside, the murder castle appears deceptively benign, its facade crafted to lure unsuspecting guests into a false sense of security. Inside, however, it transforms into a disturbing maze of secrets. As they delve deeper, an unsettling awareness settles in, a chilling reminder that they are stepping into a den of nightmares. Shuffling through the dimly lit rooms, they uncover remnants of a life once lived, but each corner harbors something far more sinister. Suddenly, a muffled sound cuts through the silence. A floorboard creaks ominously underfoot. A detective pauses, heart racing, the echo reverberating against the stone walls. Pushing further into the castle's depth, they discover a hidden room concealed by a false wall, a shocking revelation that sends chills down their spines. The stench of decomposition wafts out, overwhelming their senses as they brace themselves for what lies within. Every breath feels heavy, a visceral reminder of the horrors that have unfolded here. Then they find it remains, fragmented and unrecognizable, strewn across the floor in an eerie display. A frigid silence falls over the room as cost oft of their findings settles in. Investigators exchange glances, faces pale with disbelief. These remains serve astrobling evidence of the gruesome activities orchestrated by H. Holmes, a man whose charm belied the darkness thriving within him. The realization that they are standing within a graveyard of victims hits hard, and the chilling truth becomes undeniable. As the search continues, officers begin to piece together a grim narrative. The bodies tell a story of trust betrayed, lives cut short by the machinations of a cunning predator. Each revelation strikes a blow to the heart of the community, igniting outrage and grief in equal measure. Families desperately seek closure, hoping for answers about their lost loved ones. The discovery of more bodies intensifies the urgency of the investigation, detectives racing against time to uncover the full extent of Holmes's crimes. The city pulses with fear, visibile tension in the air, as rumors swirl about the nature of the atrocities committed within the castle's walls. Yet amidst the horror, the determination of the authorities remains unwavering. They meticulously catalog each find, working together to unravel the web of deceit spun by Holmes. The reality of their task weighs heavily on them. The very notion of a man transforming a hotel into a slaughterhouse defies comprehension. Outside, the sun sets, casting long shadows that seem to stretch into eternity, mirroring the darkness that has seeped into their souls. Chicago, once a vibrant city brimming with life, now feels like a disturbing echo of shattered dreams. Days pass as the investigation deepens, revealing more about the hidden horrors of the murder castle. Each new revelation sends ripples through the community, sparking outrage and disbelief. Victims who had once seemed like fleeting shadows now take on names and stories, faces of those who trusted the promise of safety within the castle. Friends and family members, driven by despair, rally together in search of the truth, their voices rising in a collective cry for justice. Frantic searches through records and missing persons reports begin to paint a clearer picture, showcasing the chilling extent of Holmes's manipulation. Authorities tirelessly work to connect the dots, seeking answers to the myriad questions swirling in their minds. What chain of events led to such a devastating end? How many lives were touched by the insidious ambitions of one man? In their pursuit, they uncover a chilling list, a catalog of names linked to Holmes, each representing a life lost to his depraved schemes. The connection between the victims becomes all too apparent, their stories intertwining with the sinister legacy of the murder castle. The search for justice feels like an uphill battle, but the resolve of the city remains unyielding. As they finalize their findings, the implications of the investigation hit hard. H. Holmes, once a figure of intrigue and charm, is now painted as a monster, a man who preyed on the vulnerable and unsuspecting. The realization that his crimes extend far beyond mere fraud forces the community to confront a truth that resonates deeply, a truth that shatters the illusion of safety. The stakes continue to rise, and the urgency to bring Holmes to justice intensifies. The murder castle, once a symbol of opportunity, now stands as a chilling reminder of the darkness lurking within humanity. With each body uncovered, the story unfolds further, and the shadows of the past begin to seep into the present. The community unites, driven by the shared need for closure amidst the horror. They gather in candlelit vigils, faces illuminated by flickering flames as they remember those lost to the depths of the murder castle. Will their stories be forgotten, or will they ignite a fire for truth and justice? As the investigation draws closer to its climax, the resolve of the community shines through, a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. In the wake of these discoveries, the pursuit of justice transforms into an urgent quest for answers. The clock is ticking, and troubling echoes of the past fill the air as investigators prepare for the next phase of their mission, with the specter of H. Holmes looming larger than ever. October 28, 1895, Chicago, Illinois. Holmes' trial for murder begins. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation, a grand yet imposing space filled to capacity. Spectators jostle for a glimpse of the man who has captivated the city's dark fascination. As the doors swing open, whispers ripple through the crowd, each laced with horror and curiosity. The wooden benches creak under the burden of a mixed audience, eager for the unfolding drama. In sharp difference to the chaos outside, H. Holmes sits at the defendant's table, his demeanor chillingly calm. Dressed sharply, he exudes confidence, a stark mask over the storm of allegations swirling around him. The court clerk prepares to call the proceedings to order, and the scent of polished wood mingles with the nervous energy crackling in the air. Eyes are glued to Holmes, whose life has spiraled into a twisted narrative of deceit and murder. The judge's gavel strikes down, silencing the murmurs and enveloping the room in a hush. Opening statements commence, with the prosecuting attorney delivering a somber account of the evidence against Holmes. Each word resonates across the audience, painting a vivid picture of the horrific deeds that have gripped the city: missing women, mysterious deaths, and the shadowy figure of Holmes himself, whose charm cloaks a sinister reality. As the prosecutor outlines the timeline of horrors, tension mounts in the room. Witnesses recount their last encounters with the victims, their words punctuated by gasps and muffled sobs from the crowd. Holmes' face remains impassive, though his eyes betray a flicker of annoyance. He listens intently, seemingly calculating each moment, ready to spin his narrative of innocence. Disbelief ripples through the audience as details of his manipulations emerge, illustrating the depths of his cunning. With each testimony, the courtroom buzzes with energy, every whispered word and stifled cry adding to the ominous burden of the proceedings. Flickering gas lamps cast shadows that dance menacingly along the walls, while the faint ticking of a clock underscores the urgency of the moment. Outside, media frenzy spills into the courtroom, with reporters scribbling furiously to capture the unfolding drama. The public's horror and fascination intertwine as the trial morphs into a spectacle of morality versus monstrosity. As days unfold, the prosecution presents a meticulous case, bolstered by physical evidence and emotional testimonies. The presence of Julia Smythe's friends, visibly distraught, adds a tragic urgency to the proceedings. They describe her vibrant spirit, a life extinguished too soon, and her absence reverberates deeply within the courtroom walls. The jury listens intently, their expressions a mix of disbelief and growing revulsion, a striking reminder of the human cost behind the allegations against Holmes. Holmes' defense team attempts to counter the narrative, thrusting forward questions of reasonable doubt. They portray him as a victim of circumstance, a target of public hysteria and media sensationalism. Holmes himself observes with a cool detachment, his charm intact as he interacts with the jurors, his skillful manipulation on full display. However, as the evidence mounts, fractures begin to appear in his polished facade. With each witness, the prosecution tightens its grip, revealing a relentless pursuit of truth against a backdrop of horrific deceit. Spectators continue to flock to the trial, eager to witness the man who has become a figure of infamy. The atmosphere grows increasingly charged. The stench of scandal clings to Holmes like a dark shadow. Jurors exchange glances, their resolve hardening as they grapple with the evidence laid bare before them. The courtroom transforms into a battleground, a clash between the macabre reality crafted by Holmes and the fragile truth that families seek to reclaim. A particularly poignant moment arises when a victim's family member takes the stand, their voice trembling as they recount the last days before tragedy struck. Raw emotion fills the space, creating an invisible barrier between the living and the horrors that have unfolded. Gasps ripple through the crowd as revelations surface about the lives lost, the lives altered irrevocably. The room vibrates with a collective heartache, the faces of those present reflecting sorrow and disbelief at the depths of Holmes' alleged depravity. As days bleed into weeks, the trial's momentum shifts and the public's horror is matched only by a thirst for justice. The media, ever watchful, spins tales of the alleged murderer with each passing testimony, transforming Holmes into a figure whose life seems torn from the pages of a Gothic novel. Reporters document the proceedings with fervor, their pens a blur as they capture every detail, every revelation sending shockwaves through the audience. Throughout the proceedings, the emotional weight bears down on Holmes, though he continues to charm those around him. His ability to manipulate the narrative resonates powerfully. He downplays the severity of the allegations with practiced ease. Yet the cumulative effect of the testimonies begins to unravel his carefully constructed reality. The courtroom feels like a living entity, breathing in unison with the unfolding drama, caught between the desire for truth and the horror of what it uncovers. As the trial progresses, the mounting evidence against him begins to paint a portrait of guilt that is challenging to deny. With each passing day, public sentiment shifts, an undeniable sense of resolve emerges. The community yearns for closure, and the strain of their collective grief hangs heavily in the air. The proceedings represent more than just a legal battle. They are a reckoning, an opportunity for those left behind to confront the shadows cast by a man whose allure masked a dark and twisted reality. The sound of the gavel brings the day's proceedings to a close. Spectators rise slowly, their expressions etched with a mixture of anticipation and dread for what tomorrow may hold. A quiet murmuring fills the room as Holmes remains seated, his face an inscrutable mask, reflecting the swirling chaos of a world beginning to see him for who he truly is. As the courtroom empties, thoughts linger. What will the next day reveal? What truths will emerge from the depths of this dark tale? The city of Chicago waits, holding its breath, as the trial continues to unfold, exposing layers of horror hidden beneath a facade of charm. May 7, 1896, Chicago, Illinois. Holmes is found guilty of murder. The courtroom buzzes with hushed anticipation as the moment of truth approaches. H. Holmes, once a celebrated figure in this vibrant city, sits composed in the defendant's chair, his expression unreadable. The air is thick with expectation. A tension builds that envelops everyone present, drawing their focus to the bench where the judge prepares to deliver the verdict that could seal his fate. In the weeks leading up to this pivotal day, the trial has captivated the public's attention. Survivors share harrowing tales of manipulation and deceit, recounting how they fell prey to Holmes's charming facade. The prosecution presents a damning array of evidence, while the defense strives to paint Holmes as a misunderstood entrepreneur ensnared by circumstances beyond his control. Each revelation adds layers to the chilling portrait of a man who constructed the infamous murder castle, a place now synonymous with horror. As the judge rises, silence blankets the room. Time seems to stand still, every eye trained on the bench, waiting for the words that will determine the course of many lives. The judge's voice breaks through the stillness, delivering the verdict. In the matter of the people versus H. Holmes, we find the defendant guilty of murder. This declaration carries through the courtroom, igniting gasps and murmurs that ripple through the audience. For many, the realization that such a polished and articulate man could orchestrate such heinous acts is utterly incomprehensible. Holmes maintains his calm demeanor in sharp contrast to the tumultuous emotions swirling around him. He scans the courtroom, searching for any semblance of sympathy among the onlookers, yet the faces around him reflect a mix of disbelief and sorrow. Those who once admired him now grapple with the stark reality of the monster revealed in court. Each person carries their own narrative, their own connection to the lives that were irrevocably altered by his actions. As he is led away, a murmur of mixed emotions fills the air. Some spectators feel a sense of relief, believing justice has finally triumphed. Others are left with deep sorrow, reflecting on the lives lost and families shattered by his greed. The scent of polished wood and cold metal lingers, contrasting sharply with the cost of tragedy that hangs in the atmosphere, a reminder of the narratives woven throughout the trial. The judge's final words resonate, sealing Holmes's fate. "You are hereby sentenced to death." This pronouncement transforms the courtroom's atmosphere, shifting from disbelief to a solemn acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation. Cameras click, capturing the moment while reporters feverishly jot down every detail. Public interest peaks, and the story of H. Holmes, the man who built a murder castle, will echo for generations. Outside, the streets pulse with life. Horse-drawn carriages rattle over cobblestones, and vendors call out to attract customers, their voices a sharp reminder of normalcy amidst the chaos of the trial's conclusion. Yet an undercurrent of tension remains. Whispers of Holmes's manipulation linger like smoke in the air. The city, once a place of opportunity, now holds an uneasy awareness of the darkness that can lurk within its most charming residents. In the days that follow, reactions to Holmes's conviction vary widely. Some view it as a necessary step toward healing, a chance to restore faith in a system that had been so deeply deceived. Others question how someone so skilled at weaving falsehoods could have evaded justice for so long. The narrative shifts from shock to introspection as citizens ponder the implications of trust and betrayal in their own lives. The community begins to process the repercussions of Holmes's actions as tales of those affected emerge anew. Julia Smythe, Emmeline Sagrand, and countless others whose lives intertwined with his. Their names become synonymous with loss, their stories woven into discussions about safety and the fragility of life. Posters bearing Julia's image reappear, unsettling reminders of a vibrant spirit extinguished too soon, as friends and family continue their search for closure amidst unresolved anguish. As Holmes's sentence echoes through history, the media frenzy escalates. Articles flood newspapers, dissecting every detail of the trial, while illustrations of the murder castle circulate widely, becoming symbols of horror and intrigue. The public is captivated by the chilling contrast between Holmes's suave persona and the backdrop of his crimes. The courtroom drama grips the nation, drawing in those both fascinated and horrified by the revelations. Yet amid the growing notoriety, the voices of the victims remain hauntingly silent. Questions linger. What truly happens behind the walls of the murder castle? Did Holmes see those he deceived as mere pawns in a deadly game? The quest for answers takes on a life of its own, with advocates for the victims pushing for further investigation into the lives lost at Holmes's hands. As the community grapples with the aftermath of the verdict, it becomes clear this story is far from over. Holmes may have been found guilty, but the impact of his actions resonates beyond the confines of the courtroom. Families search for justice, scholars dissect the psychology of a man who once appeared so ordinary, and this bustling metropolis strives to reclaim its narrative from the shadows of the past. As the dust settles on this chapter, one thing remains certain: the shadow of H. Holmes will loom large in the annals of history. The reverberations of his deceit linger in the community, igniting a fire for truth and justice that may find its own voice in unexpected ways. What will become of the stories left untold? How many more lives were touched by his dark ambitions? The answers await just beyond the horizon. May 7th, 1896, Chicago, Illinois. The atmosphere feels heavy with anticipation as H. Holmes, a man once cloaked in charm and deception, stands before the gallows. The wooden structure looms ominously, a grim reminder of the darkness that has long overshadowed his life. Today marks the end of a notorious chapter, not just for Holmes, but for the families of countless victims who have awaited justice for far too long. Outside the prison walls, a crowd gathers, some filled with anger, others seeking closure. The day resonates with memories as the streets fill with citizens eager to witness this long-anticipated conclusion. Holmes' journey to this moment began with his arrest in November 1894, following the suspicious disappearance of his former business associate, Benjamin Peitzel. Investigators, peeling back layers of deceit, uncover a web of horror, including remains found in his infamous murder castle. The trial, which commenced in October 1895, captivates the nation. Prosecutors paint a chilling portrait of a man who lured victims to their deaths, while Holmes, ever the manipulator, attempts to charm the courtroom with bravado. Ultimately, he is convicted of murder, a verdict that sparks a flicker of hope for those who have suffered in silence for years. As the executioner prepares, each movement is methodical, every detail significant. A noose crafted from sturdy rope hangs ready. Dressed in simple prison garb, Holmes exhibits an unsettling calmness, a disconnection that has characterized much of his life. The guards escort him to the platform, and for a fleeting moment the world pauses, eyes locked on the man who has incited both fear and fascination. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, a mix of disbelief and anticipation, their voices blending into an unsettling melody. Stepping forward, Holmes feels the wooden boards creaking beneath him. A deep breath escapes as he addresses the crowd for the last time. His last words, reportedly filled with a profound fear of being buried alive, reveal a man grappling with the culmination of his choices. "I don't want to die," he exclaims, a chilling vulnerability surfacing amidst his bravado. Those gathered hold their breath. Here stands a man who once reveled in manipulation, now stripped of control, facing the consequences of a life entwined with the fate of many. With a pull of the lever, a sharp crack echoes through the air, the sound of fate sealing Holmes' story. His body jerks violently for a moment, then stillness envelops the execution chamber. A troubling quiet follows, as though the very walls absorb the strain of his crimes. Outside, the crowd's reaction is a cacophony of emotions. Some cheer, while others stand in solemn reflection, grappling with the reality that justice has finally been served. The execution, conducted in private, becomes a bittersweet moment, a reminder that while one life ends, the remnants of grief remain for those left behind. In the days that follow, Chicago begins to process the aftermath of Holmes' execution. The press floods the streets, eager for stories and details. Articles recount his life, his charm, his cruelty, the calculated traps laid for unwitting victims. The narrative shifts from one of fear to the hope that perhaps, with his death, the families of the missing might find solace. Yet questions linger. What truly happened within the walls of the murder castle? Will the stories of those victims fade into obscurity, or will they ignite a longing for truth and remembrance? For many, the execution is merely a chapter closed, a chapter that cannot erase the pain of loss. Families search for closure, struggling with the pressure of grief that persists. Time can begin to mend. The echoes of laughter once shared with loved ones now haunt their memories, intertwining with the silence left in the wake of tragedy. Chicago, vibrant and bustling, continues to move forward, yet the specter of H. Holmes lingers, a reminder of the darkness that once resided in plain sight. As the community heals, the tales of those lost, Julia Smythe, Emmeline Sagrand, and countless others, begin to emerge from the shadows. Their stories weave into the fabric of the city, each name etched into the collective consciousness. The importance of remembrance becomes clear as survivors share their experiences, creating a narrative that transcends the horrors of the past. A desire for justice and truth rises from the ashes of tragedy, igniting conversations about safety, awareness, and vigilance. The question persists: how could such a tragedy unfold without notice? Yet perhaps in the annals of history, their stories will inspire vigilance against predators lurking in the shadows, those who wear masks of normalcy while harboring sinister intentions. The execution of H. Holmes may close one chapter, but it simultaneously opens a dialogue about the importance of remembrance and the need for justice in a world where shadows still lurk. As the sun sets over Chicago, casting long shadows across the streets, the promise of a new day emerges. A city that has weathered storms of darkness now has the opportunity to forge a brighter path. The whispers of those lost will not be forgotten. They resonate in every corner and every gathering as the community vows to honor their memories. The quiet of the ominous structure is broken, and with it, the hope for healing and remembrance begins to take root. As the scene shifts, the narrative of justice continues to unfold, with new questions emerging from the depths of the past. What will the families of the victims demand next? How will the community transform this moment of closure into a beacon of hope? The journey toward understanding and healing has only just begun. June 1, 1896, Chicago, Illinois. The city grapples with the legacy of Holmes. The sun casts long shadows across bustling streets where vendors shout their wares and the rhythmic clatter of horse-drawn carriages fills the air. Yet beneath this vibrant facade lies a deep-seated unease, a city forever altered by the malevolent actions of one man. H. Holmes, a name synonymous with fear and tragedy, has left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of Chicago. In the wake of Holmes' arrest in 1894 and the sensational trial that followed, the city embarks on a critical reassessment of its safety regulations. Community meetings spring up, where residents gather to voice their concerns and propose reforms aimed at shielding citizens from similar horrors. Emotion runs high as those affected by Holmes' crimes seek reassurance that such a nightmare will never repeat. Ideas flow freely, from enhanced oversight of businesses to stricter construction regulations, and visible determination fills the room. They refuse to remain complacent victims. Simultaneously, the tale of H. Holmes captivates the public imagination, igniting a wave of fascination that extends beyond Chicago to the entire nation. The story of a man who could charm his way into society's elite while concealing a sinister nature becomes irresistible. Newspapers churn out sensational articles, each revealing new details about the murder castle, a structure that stands as both a testament to ingenuity and a harbinger of horror. Residents find themselves drawn into the narrative. How could someone so ordinary commit such extraordinary atrocities? As the community reflects on the chilling events, the murder castle morphs into a grim landmark, sharp reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath urban life. Authors, inspired by the rich material, begin crafting books that not only explore Holmes' heinous acts but also delve into the psychological motivations behind them. These narratives spark discussions about morality, vulnerability, and the human condition. The fascination extends beyond gruesome details. It reveals a societal hunger to understand the depths of evil and the capacity for manipulation. Holmes' arrest and trial evolve into a public spectacle, drawing crowds eager to witness the unfolding drama. The courtroom buzzes with intrigue, filled with whispers and gasps as witnesses recount their harrowing encounters with the accused. Faces illuminated by flickering gas lamps reflect a mix of horror and morbid curiosity. The media seizes the moment, crafting sensational headlines that further entrench Holmes' story in local and national consciousness. With each revelation, the narrative surrounding H. Holmes takes on a life of its own. Wiltrablingunting details of his manipulations and the fates of his victims resonate deeply. They also serve as cautionary tales. communities begin fostering a culture of vigilance, urging citizens to look out for one another. New organizations emerge, dedicated to advocating for the safety of women and children, striving to ensure that the vulnerabilities exploited by Holmes will not be repeated. As weeks turn into months, the societal aftershocks continue to reverberate. Police departments across the country reassess their investigative techniques, recognizing the necessity for a more proactive approach to missing persons cases. The disappearances of women, once overlooked, now command immediate attention, reflecting a newfound awareness of hidden dangers. This shift signifies a collective awakening, an understanding that appearances can be deceiving and vigilance is paramount for community safety. Chicago's transformation encompasses more than just heightened awareness, it embodies resilience. The city begins to rebuild, channeling the pain of past events into a commitment to prevent future tragedies. Public forums emerge, fostering conversations about safety and community empowerment. Neighborhood watch programs gain traction, encouraging residents to take active roles in safeguarding their surroundings. The once vibrant social landscape now carries a cautious optimism, as friendships flourish alongside an increased sense of responsibility. The allure of Holmes' story feeds into a burgeoning trend in crime literature and entertainment, igniting a fascination with humanity's darker aspects. The narratives surrounding his life and crimes inspire countless adaptations in books, plays, and films. Writers and artists delve into the complexities of his character, exploring the duality of charm and horror. The public's intrigue continues to grow, leading to a cultural phenomenon that transcends Chicago's borders. Yet amid this newfound obsession, the ghosts of the past remain ever present. Each retelling of Holmes' story serves as a solemn reminder of the lives lost and families shattered by his actions. The community stays vigilant, aware that while history cannot be changed, the future can be shaped by their collective resolve. The discussions ignited by Holmes' shadow fuel a fire for truth and justice, an enduring commitment to ensure that such darkness does not infiltrate their lives again. As Chicago reflects on its transformation, the shadow of Holmes serves as both a cautionary tale and a source of intrigue. The narratives of his manipulation challenge residents to confront the shadows within society. In this intricate tapestry of human experience, the lines between victim and perpetrator blur, inviting questions that linger in the minds of those seeking to understand the nature of evil. What drives the fascination with such dark figures? How does society reconcile the need for safety with the allure of danger? These inquiries resonate deeply, prompting continued exploration into the narratives that shape our understanding of justice, morality, and the human experience. In the aftermath of profound tragedy, the city stands at a crossroads, balancing remembrance with still remains curiosity with caution. The echoes of past events serve as reminders that the struggle for safety and justice is an ongoing journey, requiring vigilance to protect the vulnerable and uphold the values that bind them together. As Chicago moves forward, a collective voice rises, determined to ensure that the shadows cast by H.H. Holmes will not dictate their future. The streets of Chicago continue to pulse with life, each day a testament to the resilience of its people. Yet, the shadow of Holmes lingers, a reminder of the complexities of human nature and the dangers that may hide in plain sight. As the city evolves, it carries the lessons of this dark chapter into a brighter tomorrow, where safety, awareness, and community spirit shine as guiding lights. January 1st, 1900, various myths surrounding Holmes begin to circulate. In the years following H.H. Holmes's execution, whispers of his legendary status echo through the alleys and busy streets of Chicago. The story of the man who constructed the notorious murder castle becomes a canvas for imagination, blending fact with fiction as urban legends take root. Across the nation, people share tales that portray Holmes as both a genius and a monster, each retelling amplifying the suspense and intrigue surrounding his life. As the narrative evolves, Holmes transforms into more than just a man. He becomes a symbol of the lurking danger hidden in plain sight. Folklore emerges, suggesting he possesses supernatural abilities, even claiming he could evade capture with ease, disturbing gaunting the night. Stories of his cunning exploits spread rapidly, captivating a public eager for sensational narratives. The murder castle, once a grim edifice filled with hidden horrors, morphs into a mythical site where the lines between reality and fiction blur. The very walls of the castle seem to murmur secrets, enticing those brave enough to approach its haunted past. In these tales, Holmes is often depicted as an enigmatic figure, a master manipulator who engages in mind games with both victims and investigators. Some stories suggest he could charm even the most skeptical into trusting him, while others hint at a darker side, suggesting he was driven by an insatiable thirst for power and control. The notion that he could vanish without a trace adds an unsettling layer to his legend. People speculate about his motivations, weaving elaborate theories about his quest for something beyond mere wealth, perhaps a deeper sense of identity or validation. The media, ever hungry for sensationalism, plays a pivotal role in perpetuating these myths. Newspapers publish stories of Holmes's so-called survivors, those who narrowly escaped his clutches, feeding the public's desire to believe in their safety even as they remain captivated by the shadow of danger. Articles portray him as an almost mythical creature, lurking in the depths of the city, poised to strike at the unsuspecting. The local populace finds itself caught in a whirlwind of fascination and fear, drawn to the morbid allure of a man whose very existence raises profound questions about morality and the nature of evil. Cultural artifacts, including novels and plays, begin to emerge, each striving to capture the essence of Holmes's story. Through dramatic retellings, his life becomes a cautionary tale, illustrating the dangers of naivety and the fine line between trust and treachery. Characters inspired by Holmes appear in various forms, reflecting society's complex relationship with crime and punishment. The idea that he could have been just another lost soul, a victim of his own ambitions, ignites debates about accountability and the darker aspects of human nature. In 1897, a lasting reminder of history hangs over the city. People gather to share their stories, recounting their brushes with the infamous figure, whether real or imagined. Some claim to have seen him in the streets, while others describe eerie sensations of being watched. An undercurrent of tension lingers in these gatherings, an unspoken acknowledgement of the fear that accompanies such fascination. The allure of Holmes's story persists, feeding a collective curiosity that compels individuals to explore the depths of the human psyche. As myths circulate, H. Holmes becomes a fixture in the expanding landscape of crime literature and popular culture. His name, once synonymous with murder, now evokes a spectrum of emotions ranging from dread to intrigue. The allure of the unknown fuels countless discussions, prompting people to ponder why tales of such figures captivate the human imagination. What is it about their darkness that strikes a chord fondly within us? Holmes's legend also sparks conversations about societal vulnerabilities. As the local populace reflects on the dangers posed by manipulative individuals, a sentiment begins to build, a desire for lingerance and self-protection. The echoes of Holmes's crimes serve as a reminder that, while the city moves forward, the need for awareness remains essential. These stories intertwine with calls for reform, urging citizens to unite in creating safer environments. As the years pass and tales of H. Holmes spread across the nation, they shift and morph, each retelling adding layers of complexity. Some depict him as a mere mortal driven by greed, while others elevate him to the status of a boogeyman, an omnipresent threat lurking in the shadows. The mythology surrounding him not only reflects societal fears, but also encapsulates the darker impulses inherent in humanity. Navigating this evolving landscape, a sense of responsibility emerges, urging citizens to learn from the past. The myths surrounding Holmes serve as a catalyst for discussions on personal safety and accountability, igniting a desire for justice and vigilance. In the bustling streets of Chicago, these narratives persist, echoing in the minds of those who continue to share them, shaping a culture that is both aware and wary. Embracing this narrative, a new chapter unfolds, a community determined to remember, to honor the victims, and to ensure that the ominous presence of Holmes's legacy does not fade into obscurity. With each retelling, the ghosts of the past are invoked, reminding everyone of the importance of vigilance and the ongoing fight against deception and evil. As myths continue to proliferate, the stories of those affected by Holmes's dark exploits gain momentum, urging society to reflect on the legacies left behind. What lessons can be drawn from the past, and how can they transform the future? The answers lie in the hearts and minds of those who dare to remember. In the next segment, the conversation around these myths will deepen, intertwining with new revelations and examinations of justice. What truths lie beneath the surface of these stories, and how will they shape the ongoing narrative of H. Holmes? January 1st, 2023, various modern interpretations of Holmes' story. The echoes of H. Holmes's actions reverberate through popular culture, captivating audiences with a mix of horror and intrigue. Since his execution in 1896, an array of books, documentaries, and films have emerged, each attempting to unravel the enigma of a man whose charm concealed profound depravity. The Murder Castle, a structure crafted for deception, endures as a grim symbol of human darkness, attracting scholars and thrill-seekers alike into its twisted narrative. Holmes's saga transforms into an enduring tale, a cautionary legend that warns against the seductive nature of charisma, a theme that lingers deeply in today's society. As true crime enthusiasts dissect the complexities of his character, they grapple with how someone so seemingly refined could descend into such horrific acts. This ongoing fascination fuels discussions about morality, psychology, and the very essence of evil. The impact of Holmes's actions lies not only in his gruesome deeds, but also in the paradox of his existence. A man of intellect and ambition, he wielded those qualities as instruments of manipulation. In the vibrant world of podcasts, H. Holmes's name frequently surfaces, drawing listeners into the chilling details of his machinations. Each episode becomes a glimpse into the past, shedding light on the societal structures that enabled such a predator to thrive. The narratives unfold amidst the clinking of glasses and the muted whispers of a captivated audience, prompting listeners to confront the unsettling truth that danger often lurks beneath polished surfaces. This engagement transcends mere morbid curiosity. It embodies a collective desire to understand the darker aspects of human nature and the societal conditions that foster individuals. Imagery from the time echoes powerfully within these discussions. Flickering gas lamps illuminate the streets of late 19th century Chicago, where Holmes operated, contrasting sharply with the darkness that enveloped his victims. Such vivid descriptions evoke a sense of place and time, grounding the listener in the very context that shaped Holmes's horrifying legacy. The bustling city, alive with vendors and horse-drawn carriages, becomes a character in its own right, reflecting a society grappling with modernization while remaining naive to the lurking threats it harbored. Cinematically, adaptations of Holmes's story vary widely, from dramatizations emphasizing his psychological manipulations to horror films that lean heavily into the gruesome aspects of his crimes. This diversity illustrates the spectrum of interpretations surrounding his life, captivating audiences who are both repulsed and enthralled by the horrors he orchestrated. As actors don the guise of Holmes, they too become embroiled in the question of what drives a person to such extremes. Does portraying Holmes as a suave villain enhance our understanding of him, or does it romanticize a figure whose actions should remain unvarnished? The media's role in shaping perceptions of Holmes cannot be understated. Newspaper articles from the era, filled with sensational headlines, significantly contributed to the public's growing fascination. Content crafted around his trial often blurred the lines between reporting and entertainment, a precursor to today's tabloid journalism. The courtroom drama surrounding his verdict became a spectacle, a vivid tableau of human emotion, where gas lamps flickered ominously above an eager audience. This interplay between media and public interest continues today, as modern true crime narratives echo the sensationalism of the past while striving for deeper understanding. As new generations engage with Holmes's story, the conversation broadens to encompass societal implications. The rise of true crime as a genre has prompted inquiries into victimization, justice, and the responsibilities of those who craft these narratives. How does society memorialize the victims often lost in the shadows of their perpetrators? The stories of Julia Smythe and Emmeline Sagrand, each a life cut short by Holmes's manipulations, serve as poignant reminders of the human cost behind his infamous name. Smythe, drawn into Holmes's web of lies, and Sagrand, a victim of his cruel machinations, highlight the tragic consequences of his actions. This reflective consciousness stirs a longing for justice and remembrance, ensuring their stories are not merely footnotes in the saga of a killer. Throughout the years, the specter of Holmes continues to ignite critical dialogues. Local communities affected by his actions have found new paths toward reform and vigilance. As urban environments evolve, discussions about safety and protective measures for vulnerable populations emerge. Neighborhood associations and community meetings take shape, driven by a shared commitment to prevention, a testament to the resilience forged in the aftermath of horror. The narrative of H. Holmes serves as both a cautionary tale and a rallying point for societal change, demonstrating how the echoes of the past can inform the present. In an age where content is consumed at a frenzied pace, the need for thoughtful engagement with true crime stories becomes paramount. The complexities of Holmes's character and the societal dynamics of his time invite listeners to delve deeper, fostering a culture of inquiry that transcends mere entertainment. As the dialogue around his legacy continues to evolve, the allure of his sinister persona remains undiminished, sharp reminder that even the most charming facades can conceal unspeakable horrors. The impact of Holmes's actions endures as a multifaceted topic, inviting exploration from various angles. As modern interpretations weave through the fabric of society, they remind us that the past is never truly behind us. Each retelling of Holmes's story keeps alive the conversations about morality, accountability, and the danger of overlooking the sinister undercurrents in human behavior. What narratives remain to be uncovered, and how will society continue to grapple with the implications of such dark figures moving forward? The legacy of H. Holmes is not just a remnant of history, it is a living narrative that challenges us to reflect on our own humanity.